kind of the seeds of the book that I ended up writing came from a blog that I started when I first left my corporate job, because I feel like there was a lot of stuff that I needed to process. I hadn't really been happy for the last 2 or 3 years that I was in that role. And so, it's funny because some mornings I would wake up, I think like things were just being processed. And some mornings I wake up and just grab my phone and write a blog post on my phone. And, I found that the best content comes pretty naturally. And I guess I'm also just looking at the world a little bit differently than I used to. I mean, I think whenever I was in the corporate world, everything's like very planned, and you have to like collaborate with a lot of people to figure out what everyone wants. I was in marketing, so I had a lot of, stakeholders in the work that I did. And just getting used to the fact that I can just make a decision. I can just decide to do something. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things that are quite legitimate that are pretty easy to do. I've been doing a ton of podcasts lately. In fact, I'm launching a podcast, and it's just going to be discussions about marketing. Mm-hmm. And I find that I'm really interested in hearing what other people have to say. And so I guess just don't judge when you think about what's content.
Great.
I think it's really easy for us to look at something and say, well, if this comes easy to me, it's probably not valuable to other people. That's not the truth.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, this is a good segue. So let me start by bragging on Terry here a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about you and your experience here. I love that you have the book sort of right over your shoulder here, Winning at the Game of Work. So Terry is sort of, has made this really interesting transition from kind of being an executive in the kind of, marketing field into coaching. And we got to meet sort of as you were kind of continuing to grow and build this one through the book process a little bit. Maybe sort of share with folks a little bit about that process, because I think there are a set of people on this one who are thinking, boy, I'm not super happy in my day job, and I would love to be able to make that leap. Talk about that journey for you, because I think it was an instructional one, and you talk about it in the book at places. But how did you make that?
It was actually kind of gradual. Mm-hmm. I would describe myself as somebody who was entrepreneurial, meaning that, I worked in the corporate world for a long time, but I tended to work on new things. I was in marketing, and, we were launching new things or rebranding, or if there was a merger or acquisition, I was always having to sort of go out on the vanguard and figure out what needed to be done. And I was really comfortable with that. I'm kind of a risk taker, and I like new things. I like variety. And so even as I was in the corporate world, I was always sort of fantasizing about, being out and being an entrepreneur. As I mentioned, I wasn't, the place that I worked at before I became a coach, I was there for 12 years, and I had a few different jobs at that company. The last job that I had wasn't a great fit for me. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I kind of outgrew the opportunities at the company. And so it just so happened that there were some changes going on that I was able to leave and, had a little freedom to figure out what was next. And I also sort of needed to detox a little bit from a few years of not being very happy. So I just kind of said, what do I want to do? I did some really fun, cool things to begin with. I went to Second City, and I took a couple of weeks of intensive classes there, and I decided to get a coaching certification. And all of this stuff just happened very gradually. I really thought I was going to get another corporate job, and I'd have this certification in coaching just in my back pocket to help me in my job. And maybe as I got closer to retirement, maybe I'd do that as a second career. But as I was going through the 6-month training program, I just decided, what the heck, why don't I just give it a shot? Why don't I give it a shot doing this full time? And I haven't really looked back. I mean, this has been, it's going on 4 years since I left my job, and I'm making it work. And it's fun. I love it.